Dear Minarets parents and guardians, we thank you for your feedback and your questions from last week as we began to send out communications and surveys about the return to school. We thank you for filling out that survey. Your feedback and the data is instrumental in us being prepared to start in-person learning. Two questions that came up following the message and survey were, number one, what is the difference between distance learning and cyber high in independent study? And the second one was, what precautions are you putting in place for a safe return to school? While we will be publishing our implementation plan in the near future, and we're going to send that in lots of different formats, we want to make sure that we address as many questions as possible along the way so that we're all more prepared and you're better informed to make decisions. So we asked you to decide whether your student would participate in hybrid learning or independent study through Cyber High. Some parents were concerned that the options were limited, and we certainly understand that, but it's not our intent to limit decisions for families or make students feel punished for not feeling comfortable or being ready for in-person learning. Rather, we have set up these two options based on what's most conducive to providing the very best instructional format that we can. And we understand that limiting these options, makes some decisions more difficult. But through our in-depth dive and our analysis into this, we discovered that rather than watering down the in-person learning with this dual capacity of distance learning and in-person instruction, we believe that a student would be better off if they're not in person. They would actually have more attention to detail, more content, more standards-based instruction through independent study. So that's what we learned. That's what we learned through looking at this after evaluating it, and we truly feel that's where we're able to concentrate our resources most to benefit all students. Cyber High is a self-paced, self-contained independent study program that is fully online. Students would log in and complete reading and work for all their classes. They would have weekly check-ins with a support teacher who would also be available for any additional assistance that they need. But in general, if you'd like to know more about this, if you're one that has chosen that choice to stay home, then please reach out. We'll set up a meeting. We'll kind of work through what that's going to look like so that you can be better informed and better prepared. But we do thank you for that question. Last thing on that is students that have AP and honors or ag classes, we're going to provide some enrichment opportunities and study opportunities for students so that their coursework and transcripts won't be affected. So if Cyber High doesn't offer that class, it wouldn't affect that being placed on their transcript because we're going to make up for that. So students that fall into that category, we're going to be talking to you and we'll work out those details with you. As far as the second question goes, we've been planning this return since the fall, just in case COVID numbers ever got to the point where we were able to return this year. So in terms of the overall schedule in that format, we have been ready for months, but now as we are nearing this possibility closer than ever before, we're contextualizing and specifically addressing some things as we gear up. So we're getting more and more prepared as the days come along. Here are some of the highlights just to give you an overview of what we're putting in place for safety. So bus transportation, students will be limited to allow for social distancing. All students will be required to log into Student Square, which is the student version of Parent Square, every morning to do a self-screening before they come to campus. And in their first period or second period, that will be verified with that teacher. We have a new drop-off and pickup procedure that will ensure that all students move directly to and from the parking lot to their classes. So there's no large group gatherings in the mornings or afternoons. All classes have been equipped for social distancing, with some classes using specialized desks and seating, and other classes using some partitions. All classes that have, or all areas of campus have sanitation stations that will be set up, so there'll be no shortage of being able to disinfect hands. When students transfer from class to class, we have a really specific strategic way of doing that so that we limit the numbers in the hallways. It's basically one class at a time in the same flow of direction. During lunchtime, we have a scattered schedule of times that we'll be setting up with designated areas to ensure that we keep social distancing in place and we don't have too many kids gathered up at one time. And we'll spend, when we come back, before we come back and when we come back, we're going to spend a lot of time going through this with the kids. But there's really going to be well-marked specific spots with lots of staff outside letting kids know where they can sit, making sure that they can safely remove their mask to eat without compromising any kind of safety. And we'll also have some canopies and tables in certain areas for shade, and we also have a backup rain plan when it comes to that. All students and staff on campus will be masked at all times except when they're eating lunch outdoors. There's going to be touchless refillable water stations throughout the campus so that students can drink without spreading germs, can refill water bottles without spreading germs. And basically we've ensured that each class is a 15 student max at all times, and we have a bathroom policy that we'll be sending out to make sure that there's not a lot of kids in the halls during passing periods. So specifically, we've kind of looked at every nook and cranny, every inch of the campus and designated it for certain things. We've monitored the transfer from class to class. One thing also, little things like providing disinfectant wipes for students to wipe their area as they move. So these are all things that are part of our implementation plan. We're trying to leave no stone unturned so that students feel safe and ready to go. So we'll be sharing that plan as time goes on, bit by bit, and you will be well informed. We encourage you, if you have any specifics, I'm sure some of you do, outside of what's been covered, just give us a call, set up a meeting, let's talk, let's work some things out, and we're all in this together. We appreciate everything that you've done so far. We appreciate the decisions that you make as a family as we adjust. We are excited to start to see more and more students on campus. That's what we're here for. That's what we love. Most of all, we thank you for your spirit that cannot be broken. Go big, go pro, go now, and go Mustangs.